joy in our heart, Father, for the many blessings you've bestowed upon us. Father, we ask your blessings on our nation, our state, our community, and especially our schools, Lord. We pray that the surge of COVID, that as adults we can come together and formulate a plan to protect our children, our teachers, and our administrators. Father, as we gather to conduct the business of the Wayne County Board of Education, we seek your guidance and wisdom. And ultimately, we hope that everything we do, everything we say tonight, will be pleasing unto you. And we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You get it?
Yeah. Our mission is to empower all students to reach their highest level of achievement. Our vision is in partnership with the community. The Wayne County school system will be a progressive system where all students acquire the knowledge and skills to be productive, responsible, and successful citizens in a rapidly changing world. Our belief is that every person is worthy of respect. Every person has the right to learn and work in a safe, nurturing environment. Every child learns when actively involved in educational experiences that reflect the uniqueness of each student's abilities. Every child will be encouraged and supported to become a lifelong learner and preparing for a rapidly changing world. Everyone learns best when they are engaged participants in their learning. Literacy is the foundation of education, and family, school, and community are responsible for the growth, the development, and the success of its students.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McMeekin?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve the minutes from August 6th and August 10th.
So moved.
Second. Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McMeekin?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll move to our public participation. We have 6 people, so we will have a lot of time of 5 minutes for those individuals to come and speak to the board. Ms. Shantae Sledge.
Oh, sorry.
Tonight, I choose kindness. I've had a very trying 2 weeks in the school system, and tonight I don't come here to cause any problems. I'm here to fight for the students that I cared for and helped for the last 12 years in Wayne County school system. No one wants to hear any more statistics about COVID. We know the devastating effects. We see it happening to our community. One of my best friends is heavy on my heart tonight. So I choose to be the light I want to see in the world. I want every kid who needs to go to school to get their education, because I'm an educator as well. I care about every child I'm up here fighting for tonight, even if their parents aren't happy with me. I believe that the policy that we have in place is a great start, and I wish that we had given you guys time to make that policy without us interrupting y'all's meeting. I'm glad now that we have a new sense of reform in our county, and I believe that that only happens with humanity. All of us caring for each other and being kind to each other, because all of us want our kids to be protected. Like, we see how the schools are right now, and that is not going well. If we all work together and all throw out solutions instead of name calling and meanness, we can solve this problem. I work in the schools, and when my first day at Martha Rawls, I saw a sign on the door that said peanut allergy. No peanuts are allowed in the room. That showed us right there that there is no mandate that we can't put in place for kids who need it. There, no parent can say, my kid has a right to have peanut butter crackers in that classroom. We can say, no, they can't have those. So I propose that maybe you guys add into the policy that if there's a kid in the classroom who is, I'm sorry, my words are losing, that are high risk of these terrible effects of the COVID virus, that we just have that on the door and make it a mandate, maybe in just that classroom, that you have to wear masks in here. Or if they have a grandparent or parent that you know, maybe we can find a way to fix this instead of being mean to each other. I'm gonna go back to what I had all my thoughts together. I have come here tonight offering a solution to the problem. As many of the parents who were here the last time, they came here fighting for their rights. I personally had my rights taken away last week at Arthur Williams Middle School. And I can't imagine what all of those parents felt like, because I know what it felt like for me. And instead of coming here and bashing anyone, I come here with that motto we've taught our kids since they were in J.T. Bacon, on the walls, be kind.
Thank you, Shantae.
Ms. Connie Jones.
Read a post on Facebook from a teacher in the school system. I talked to 100 plus students a week last year, art. Everything was fine. This year I teach kindergarten in a classroom of 22 students. I got COVID within 3 days. Only difference in the two, last year masks were required. This year they are not. I'm not saying that they are 100% effective all of the time, but I will feel a lot safer returning to my room knowing masks are required. We wear shoes, we wear seatbelts, underwear. There is nothing wrong with wearing a mask. If you knew, it would have possibly prevented your child's teacher from getting COVID. My entire outlook on life has changed after having COVID. It's been the absolute worst experience of my life. Last year, masks were required and the schools remain open. Consider making masks a requirement during the school year.
Mr. Henry White.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Henry White. I didn't really have a big speech or anything. I just wanted to talk to y'all about the mask policy myself. I feel like, as parents and grandparents and school board members, that it's our obligation to provide children with as safe an environment as we can to go to school. And naturally, the best thing for them to do is in school, not virtual. And with the COVID cases rising every day all over this country, not here in Lane County, it's bad. It's not good at all. And I'd much rather see these young people wearing masks at school rather than see them wearing a respirator in ICU. And I would appreciate it if y'all would rethink your policy on this, on the mask. It's not no cure. I know it's not, but people that know, the scientists, the doctors, everybody says it helps, and maybe it will.
Thank you. Thanks. Lydia Taylor.
Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me okay. 10, 30, 8, 21,543. Are those random numbers? Most definitely not. 10, the daily reported average of positive COVID cases on August 1st, 2021 in Wayne County. 30, the daily average of August 20th, 2021 in Wayne County. That's an increase of 300% in a mere 20 days. 8, the number of days that my son was able to be in the public school system before he was told he couldn't come back anymore until September. That's after I've had him on homeschool and private school for 3 years. So he has no siblings. Public school is the only way that he can socialize and learn in the public aspect. But that's all he got was 8 days. 21,543. The approximate cumulative number of COVID-related deaths, not including individuals that weren't tested or had inconclusive results. It would be asinine to think that we can completely stop this invisible enemy, also known as COVID, but we can do our part to help slow the spread. I didn't come before you this evening to state whether we should or shouldn't have virtual education opposed to in-person learning, as all children have a constitutional right to equal educational opportunities. Rather, I came before the board to express the importance of reinstating and rethinking the mask requirement for all individuals present on school campuses and at school functions. Some individuals may feel that mask wearing is ineffective. Others may feel that wearing the mask robs them of their right to individual freedom. I feel that not wearing a mask robs an elderly loved one of laughter-filled days with their family. Not wearing a mask increases the risk of death for an organ donor recipient. Not wearing a mask is a complete disregard to the command given to us to love one another. 1 John 4:20 states, whoever claims to love God yet hates a brother or sister is a liar. For whoever does not love their brother or sister whom they have seen cannot love God whom they have not seen. Love is an action. Maintaining social distancing, practicing good hygiene, and wearing masks are all ways that we can show love to one another. 94,000, the number of children that contracted COVID-19 Delta variant in the first week of August. That was up from 39,000 cases 2 weeks prior. We can't protect our children from everything, but we should do everything that we can in our power to mitigate unnecessary harm. The final number is 1. If wearing a mask spares just one son, one daughter, one parent, one grandparent, or one significant other, then the discomfort for that time was worth the sacrifice. So I ask that you will reconsider the mask mandate so that our kids can learn in the best possible opportunity. Whatever that may be, give them a chance because a lot of them don't have it. And that's all that they need to get started. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Tyrone McGill.
Afternoon. How you doing? Okay, you guys, you know why I'm here. The last meeting we had on Martha Rouse, I think it's been about 3 months maybe. We still interested in Martha Rouse for the community center. What we want to know is when we hear from you guys on that, finish what we started. We're interested, and doing a little research. So I got one more. The team center. We need a team center. I used to work at the team center here when we tore the gym down. We used the wing, the vocational wing. We used it as well before they tore the gym down. I think 2014, the flood or whatever. So we lost the team center with that. And what we're asking is to use the vocational building for the team center. We're working on that as well, and got some people in the back looking at it. I want to look at the building. It don't need a lot of work. no leaks. Like I said, I work on both sides, so I know the building is in good shape. So we want to get y'all permission or whatever you got to do to help us out with our teams in the vocational building. Like I say, we used it before, and with the gym flooding, that's why we lost the teams. It don't seem like nobody was trying to get the teams some back. I don't know how they've been trying to get it back or not, but we need it. I see kids in the streets every day. I play ball with them every day. They need somewhere to go. We can't get nothing else. We need the team center. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's go to Randall.
Good evening. I got two points to make. One, we need to reinstate the mask mandate, as Ms. Taylor has said so elaborately earlier, because a lot of parents do not, or they don't have the means to give their kids an adequate education. So if we reinstate the mask mandate, those kids that require that special attention that they can't get home in some circumstances will have the opportunity to a fair education versus being held back. Because looking at the numbers from last year, going virtual versus being in the classroom, the individual attention that the teachers that specialize in specific subjects gave the kids was lacking. So that's putting our kids behind. That's my first point. The second point is, I agree with Mr. McGee. We hear about the teen center and the old Market Road. So, thank you.
We'll move on to our items of business, facility usage. I'm sorry.
Facilities use. In the police board, we have a request from the county to consider use of the old Tech Center. And Mr. Ed Jeffers would like to approach the podium and provide you with a statement and information regarding that.
I don't know how much of a statement I have, but thank you, Dr. Kelly and Mr. Chairman and board members. And you're right, we have a need for the election process. As you may be aware, that early voting happens at the courthouse. And early voting has grown to be a large part of the electoral that votes right now. So, and that becomes a conflict with what the functions are of the county, the courthouse, the courtroom. So we've been searching for a place to have it, and several places have fallen through. We're going to have the city elections at Cracker Williams early voting, and it takes about a month. But we were looking for other places to hold early elections, get it out of the courthouse. You can't. They're early voting is drawn so much over there, can't have two in the same place. So somebody in the community suggested the Vote bill adjacent to Jackson Stadium. So we reached out and got access to it and viewed it with the election superintendent and myself and my facilities manager. It would take a little work for us to do it. But we're willing, we would like to see if y'all are willing to get into an agreement with us to have an election process there. If you are, what I would suggest is Dr. Kelly and I and the county attorney reach an agreement and bring it back to y'all to figure out how we go do this. And if we get to an agreement, the county will put the money into it to do the rest, whatever required repairs we need to make. But I really focused on next year's elections and early voting for next year's elections. There's a special election in March for the county seat. It may not be there, but there's a primary start in May of next year. I need to get in there and make something happen. So looking for places. And I've gone through several locations, all kind of just fell through, and just kind of, the VOTEC has parking, which is essential. It's open. I don't think it'll be a conflict with any of these sporting events you have. But again, if you're interested in doing this, I'd like to propose that we get together, work out an agreement, whatever is agreeable to the school and the board of commissioners. We'll bring it back to each board. I'd like to have an agreement by October timeframe if y'all are interested in doing that. That's all I got to say. Got any
What is it?
questions?
Yes, what is the time frame that you anticipate occupying this facility?
How long?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Ms. Daniels, 10 years maybe, but it is up to the two different boards up there. I'd like to have some, each, normally we do about 10-year cycle between governments on this kind of agreements, but it's up to the boards, at least a couple of sections. Otherwise, we got to go out in the community and build a place. There may be some long-term things, solutions for us. If we move out of there, my intent would be that this building, with all the modifications or repairs we made, reverts back to the Board of Education. In 10 years, whatever time frame, I would like 10 years. I think that's a starting point for me.
Who do you anticipate being the proprietor that will maintain this facility, the upkeep of this facility? And the reason why I asked that, because I'm just gonna be straight up, the track record is not very good with maintenance of facilities that have been utilized or agreements with other entities.
Well, I think that that's something that we need to work out in the details, but my intent, Ms. Daniels, is the county would maintain it, the county would own it, and we would do any repairs, replacing a roof, air conditioners, tile. I got to secure the building because election equipment will be in that building. I got to put cameras up there. But we would maintain it. The school would have no responsibility in my mind to maintain that facility. We would maintain it.
Mr. Jeffrey,
Yes, ma'am, sorry.
do you think that you would require the whole building or just 2 or 3 rooms of the building? If I understand, we have another group of citizens that are interested in the same location. I'm just wondering if we could coexist. How much room would you need?
Well, I don't think I need the whole building, Mr. Davidson, but the important part of this process is it has to be secure. There's no access anywhere. Hold that building right there at the election process, whether it's any part of the election process, early voting or other things, it has to be secure 24 hours a day. And we anticipate having equipment in there 24 hours a day, all year long. So if we could do that, and I think that we can, then, we don't have a problem coexisting, but it can't enter.
That would be.
They have to be completely separated.
Dr. Kelly could kick around with you. It's possible, that both organizations could coexist in that same structure. Certainly, there's a hall that links the entire facility together, but walls, take care of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, that, in my opinion, would need to be part of the discussion. How much do you really need?
And I think there's somebody y'all already occupy part of that building for maintenance shop.
Yeah,
And
shop.
so our intent would not be to relocate or them over there. We just have to secure it. And, that part of it, I think that Dr. Kelly and I and others can work out the details of that. Y'all willing to see through that. I wouldn't maintain the other part. I just maintain. I'm making that clear.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we need a motion at this moment. I think that in the interest of fairness to Dr. Kelly, he has not had an opportunity to know the things that we discussed under Dr. Brinson's tenure with Mr. McGill. It's in the fairness that we allow him some time to look back through Dr. Brinson's records to see where he was with Mr. McGill and to discuss with Mr. Ed Jeffers, their possible concerns, and then allow us to have a discussion about it in the next meeting. I think that's the fairest thing to do, because Mr. McGill did come and talk with Dr. Brinson, and they had some plans and agreements, but Dr. Kelly hasn't been privileged to that because he didn't know anything about that. So
Right.
he needs to have an opportunity to look back. Dr. Brinson left tons of notes, things that he had worked on, but Dr. Kelly needs an opportunity to do that. And certainly, we want to take into consideration to, help, our candidates. So we just need to allow Dr. Kelly time to look at those things, see what are the options that are best for the district. Again, that is McGill's shop, and I don't technically want to override what he has to do, because he has to have places to store his equipment, things to do, take care of all these fields. And we're putting thousands of dollars into these fields, and we got to have our places to store our stuff. So I think that's just some conversation that Dr. Kelly needs to investigate, and we put it on the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, giving him time to talk to Mr. McGill and Mr. Jeffers. I bring it back for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, all I ask is, time is of importance, so therefore for the process, whatever work I need to clean up or take care of, and anything in there, if we work it out. I'd love to have an agreement in place, and I need to get my board on board with it as well, by October-ish, the first part of October, so I can give us a chance to do whatever we need to do. And we certainly are, whatever y'all can offer us over there, I think that I'm here with my hand out, trying to find a place for the election process to happen, and I appreciate any help y'all can give us.
Y'all have y'all meeting on the 6th or the 7th. I know it's late.
We're gonna have it, I believe. Listen, I talked to the chairman up there, and I think we're tentatively looking at Wednesday the 8th.
Okay. So our next meeting is on the 14th. So I'm sure by then Dr. Kelly will had time to talk to Mr. McGill and you and bring us back some information.
Okay.
We can have a discussion then. I want to be ready to take action on whatever you want to do.
I can tell you that building, the stuff that's stored in that building is pretty much trash. Yeah. Other than the area that McGill has for his, the things that he does, but all those other classrooms, he's right on that. There's nothing salvageable pretty much in those classrooms. Yeah, it's all thrown on the floor, and yeah.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Close it up, babe.
All right, it's no secret that COVID is moving quickly through our community and our schools. We are closely monitoring the numbers. We have transitioned to our hybrid model as of yesterday. So we've had approximately half of our students in school Monday, Tuesday. We will not have students in school on Wednesday, and then we will have the other half in Thursday and Friday, with the understanding that there will be Google Classroom, other methods of instruction or assignments when students are not in school to enhance and enrich the things that they did when they were with teachers. So, our quarantine procedures are the same as they've had been the whole time. We work with our nurses, our director of nursing, who works with DPH, to decide, which students or adults need to be quarantined and for how long. We take the recommendations and make a decision, and we have not deviated from the recommendations of the DPH with regard to quarantine. So that is also closely monitored. So we are trying to move through that. It is my hope that our hybrid model will provide us with some data and some actionable information, hopefully in the next week or two. I would like to give our hybrid model an opportunity to work. The last resort is, closing schools and going to virtual learning, and we all know that that's not the ideal method of instruction. So we're trying very, very hard to not have to do that. So if we can get the support we need from the community, which I think we have, and also from individuals with regard to making sure they monitor their children at home, do not send them to school if they're showing symptoms, communicating with the school when there are issues, and we're hoping we can at least keep this at bay for a little while and keep kids in school. So that's what we're really trying to do. Our staff has done a great job of providing guidance. Our teaching and learning department, special education, some other entities at the central office have done a great job helping our school prepare for students being in class for 2 days. And our food and nutrition department, Dr. Tretnell and her staff, began feeding kids on Thursday. So I informed her that we were going to be going, that we were going to not be in school on Friday, I think maybe a day or two prior to Friday, and she was able to organize sending food home to kids in a day or two. And so we will feed kids and provide them with things when they go home on Tuesdays and when they go home on Fridays, so that they'll have meals for the other 3 days that they're not in school. So Dr. Trevor did a great job with that. So that is currently where we are at right now with what's going on in the schools.
I do have something that I want to share that I kind of looked up, and this is data from our school system, because it's what's up with us. Looking at from August 24th, 2020 to May 21st, 2021, at Martha Ross Smith Elementary, there were 14 positive cases. That's what whole of students. There were 8 at James E. Bacon, 8 at Jessup Elementary, 8 at Oldham Elementary, 5 at Scriven Elementary, 25 at Dr. Williams, Martha Puckett had 26, and Wayne County High School had 70. Let's fast forward this to August 8th. August 8th, the total positive were at James E. Bacon, we had none. At Jessup Elementary, there were 5. Martha Smith, there were 0. Oldham Elementary, 1. Scriven Elementary, 0. Arthur Williams Middle School, 2. Martha Puckett Middle School, 2. Wayne County High School, 9. But there were 19 positive cases altogether, okay? Then you go to the total, I'm gonna fast forward this. The total for the year of positive students was 164 for all schools. At this time, August 14th through the 20th, it says we had 156 positive students. 164 last year for the whole year. This year, 156. What is the difference? I know the Delta variant is different, but we'll never know whether or not masks were a difference or not because we didn't mandate it. But, you know, I had a doctor to tell me that was a ICU physician. I'm an ICU nurse. And she told me, she said, I wore a mask 24/7 in ICU all the years that I was a nurse in ICU. So sometimes when we get data from people, we don't always ask whether that data is valid or not. And, you know, we need to make sure that we know whether it's valid or not, as well as, like I told y'all before, I'm trying to keep the kids in school myself. I don't want kids to be at home, but, you know, and I know everybody's talking about their freedom. But when you talk about freedom, everybody's got that, you're right, you got the freedom to decide what you feel is best for your child. You do. But the only problem with a school and a school system is it is not just one entity. It's not a bubble. We're responsible for every kid in there. So that is the reason why individual rights and the federal government talks about that when it comes down to the school system, making sure and ensuring that students are safe, that it is not just for just that one kid, it's for the whole population. So it's a little bit different than you just sitting back saying what my freedoms are for me and my child, because your child is a part of a population, is a part of community, and that's what a school system is, and that's what their class is. It's a community. So I just wanted to share those numbers, and I don't know, we'll just have to kind of figure out with the plan. I mean, I do want to commend Dr. Kelly for the plan that you have in place. Awesome. I want to commend you for that. your hands were kind of tied whether or not when we go to this model about putting in, having kids to wear masks. Because if the totals are bad enough for us to go hybrid, you think about it, it's common sense. We should try to wear masks so that we don't go total virtual. I mean, got to think about it. Had a kid, and I'm gonna be quiet, y'all, but I do have to share this one. Had a grandparent call me and shared with me about their grandchild. The mother called the grandmother, told her, I got to take him to the hospital. Before grandmother could get dressed, the daughter calls back and says, call 911, he's hit the floor. They couldn't even get out the door. The reason why she was taking him to the hospital because he was coughing up blood. This is one of our students, okay? The day that child got sick, the grandfather picked him up. Yes, yeah, I know, baby. Grandfather picked him up. Grandfather suffers from COPD. Fortunately, he had a vaccine because he showed up positive. He showed up positive. And they feel like that, you know, with COPD, he wouldn't. So it's real. And sometimes you have to make unpopular decisions based upon what is in the best interest, you know, of everybody. And I respect the decision that the board has made, but I did have to share those concerns. Thank y'all.
Believe it or not, I've written a little statement on them. This decision weighed heavily on me as well as my colleagues. It is easy to make a decision, but you always want to make the right decision. I've had numerous emails, texts, etc., with both sides having valid points. A lot of data state masks do work. A local pastor sent me a couple of articles, one showing that a group of military recruits who were very heavily entwined, all their training routines, they slept together, everything, wore masks, didn't show any effect on them. CDC and others say that masks do make a difference. But you know, the one group that we fail to listen to or to get their opinion from is the ones in the foxhole. That's those teachers, staff members. So I reached out to 4 different schools. And one at the high school says students nor teachers want to be made to wear masks. The masks are not being worn properly. One of the elementary schools stated, we're not opposed to wearing masks. This is from a different school. I say no to mandating masks. The kids' masks are so filthy by the end of the day, and some never wash theirs at all. Let it be parents' choice. And then this is the one that it's a little lengthy, but I think you can see her passion from a veteran teacher, not only a veteran teacher, but one of our instructional coaches, who instructional coaches are considered to be exemplary. First part is just thanking us for reaching out to them. You may be asking the wrong person because I have a very strong opinion. I think masks should be left optional. If you could see some of the masks that these young children have that are full of, and Miss Denny, your mother-in-law would appreciate this descriptive writing. Sometimes, let me go back. If you could see some of the masks that young children have that are full of dirt, snot, and everything else, you would know that sometimes masks for young children could potentially be more harmful than good. I also worry about students not being able to see their teachers and peers' faces, their expression. Young children often need lots of reassurance, and many times that comes through a teacher's facial expressions. It is so hard to communicate through a mask. If people want to wear a mask, then by all means wear one. But I'm tired of living in fear and watching young kids suffer. It'll take years for these students to recover from this mess. Hybrid is going well. That's the new program we've implemented. Hybrid is going well. The planning for teachers is a much lighter load, and having small groups of students allows teachers to do some much needed one-on-one work with students. It's really a teacher's dream come true. I'm so thankful that we have not been forced to go virtual. Thank you again for that. And then it goes on just saying thank you for attending. So here's, as you can see, there's more to factor in than whether to wear a mask or not. We need to factor in our children's social and emotional well-being also. I certainly am not opposed to mandating masks. However, I'd like to ask that we give the hybrid model an established time period to gather some data before requiring masks for all. Okay, that's my opinion, but I'm hearing good things about hybrid. We've reduced bus loads, we've reduced everything. So, 2 weeks, what's ample time to gather data? But that's my recommendation.
Coach, depicting my recommendation would be at least 2 weeks to give it enough time to get some trend data and some actionable data. So I would say at least 2 weeks, maybe even a little bit longer. But we should be able to. I mean, we're in school for 2 weeks. Well, a week and 4 days. But I would say we give it at least 2 weeks to see what kind of trend data results from the hybrid model.
Which, if it becomes excuse me, what's the word on you, a state of emergency, then you have the authority to declare whatever you deem appropriate, right?
Yes, sir. If there is an order issued or if there's a state of emergency issued, then yes, sir. Our policy.
And that's my other comment, and I've passed this on to a few people. We're not passing the buck, folks, but I think we all can agree it takes a village to raise a child. We all agree to that. I'm just gonna call a spade tonight. The city, the county, our industries, our businesses, nobody else is doing anything to mandate masks. And so we can't do it all here. There's no doubt we've got the most precious thing God ever gave you, and that's your child. And we know that. We know that.
I will say that because I've actually been listening to a lot too. My phone has rang, emails. Y'all got probably some of the same emails I got. I was thinking a week. If you think 2 weeks is the best, but I think at the end of 2 weeks, if data hadn't changed for the better, I think we should look at this back up front and make them wear them for a while. I don't want to close school. I don't want to close school. I don't want to go virtual. It did not work. Right.
Really look into the mandate for the peanut allergy. I think that's.
So anyway, I can support the 2 weeks.
First of all, I thank all of you that came and spoke to us tonight. We hear you, but at the same time, we hear other members of our community that maybe have a little bit different opinion that you do. But rest assured that Dr. Kelly is going to monitor the situation. And we took action, when did we go hybrid? This week?
Yes.
So be patient with us. Give us time to see if this first move that we make is going to be successful. I think I can speak for all my colleagues up here. Our overriding concern, our overriding principle is going to do everything we can to keep our schools open. Under an ideal situation, this hybrid model, which is basically social distancing, if we see our infections go down, that's a trend that we're looking for. So, but if they go up, the decisions that we make as a board are going to be what we think we have to do to keep our schools open. And a byproduct of keeping our schools open will be to keep your children and grandchildren safe. because if we can't keep them safe, we can't keep it open. So, in summary, thank you for a little patience. And I know it's difficult. A lot of you are very concerned about your kids and grandkids, and I don't blame you. I would be too. But you sure we're trying and we're committed that if what we're trying is not working, then nothing is off the table. Whatever we have to do to try to keep our schools open, that's going to be our guiding principle. If we keep our schools open, then we're doing a good job keeping your kids safe. But again, thank you for coming and sharing your concerns. We hear you.
Nick, how many staff do we have currently out with COVID or quarantine? Do you know? I'm not sure if it's is updated or not.
I don't know outside of what was posted on Sunday.
Okay, it says 48. I was just wondering how many. Oh, I see. Teachers.
Looks like 48 were positive and 35 were quarantined.
2,
That was as
3.
of Sunday.
So 45 of that, based on what I'm looking at, 45 are either teachers or staff. Because it has maintenance, transportation 1, board office 2. And so, yeah. If you don't have teachers, you can't have school.
That's right. One of the things Coach, I thought like you did, first thing was I started looking back at our last year data and had a couple of conversations with Dr. Kelly about what was the difference. And so I started thinking about what do we do different. Last year, we delayed school in the peak. When the scheduled peak was given to us, we as a board decided that we were having a call board meeting and we delayed school for almost 3 weeks. We gave the teachers a week and then we didn't bring the kids back until 2 weeks after that. So technically the students didn't come back to school for 3 weeks.
Right.
That done in the middle of this year. We started school right at the beginning of the year. We can, as I've shared with other chairs that I've had a conversation with, at our district, in the district aid director for GSPA, I think we as boards should have pumped the brakes on the start of school when we've seen this new variant taking off, but we didn't. Everybody was excited to start back school in some type of normal operations, and every school board in this state opened up their doors. Some had mask mandates, some didn't. And those that are, experiencing problems are all dealing with a different type of situation. The ones that have mask mandates are dealing with issues, and the ones that don't have issues. We're just in an area where ours, because we don't have as many students as other school districts, we're not experiencing the high numbers like those other school districts. Personally, I like masks, and my kids with them. I make sure that they're. Now, I don't know if they do the whole 8 hours of school, but when they leave my house, they wear them. But they don't wear them on the weekends. They wear them when they go to church. But they don't wear them at the games. They didn't have them on at the football game Friday. Recreation's opened up. All the businesses are open in this community. And as I shared with the community leaders on last Friday, and Dr. Kelly told me, we can't do it. We have to have the community's help. Parents, businesses, county leaders, city leaders, everybody has to be a part. We operated under a different form of emergency because everybody had to operate in the state emergency, city, county, and school boards as of last year when we started school. So we didn't have a choice but to do the things that state of emergency required us to do. The state of emergencies pretty much expired at the end of May. And that's when this board took action along with those things expiring. So everybody, operated this year based off of what they felt was best for their district. I think at this point, there's enough data, there's enough information that we as a board can make our decisions, but making those decisions are tough when we're the only people making those decisions.
Mhm.
Kids, we require masks from 8 to 3. Some kids get to school at 7:30. Some get there a little early, depending on their bus or their parents. After 3 o'clock, what are they doing? What are they doing at the nighttime? What are they doing at ball practice? What are they doing on the weekends? What are they doing at the spend the night parties? COVID just don't spread at school. COVID spreads everywhere.
Mhm.
And so while parents and people are having to make those individual decisions at homes and at churches and in their businesses, we are also charged with that same responsibility. But the spread ain't gonna stop just because we make a mask mandate at the school from 8. It is gonna help, but it's not gonna stop. And some of the things that I'm seeing now with the cases aren't what I would say school cases, because some of these people had COVID before school doors even opened. Some of the information and data,
house.
some of the information and data was already collected before the first day of school. As soon as the first day of school, my kid ain't coming because they got COVID. Well, they ain't been here. But that's still a part of our data because that information had to be reported to us.
The
So
kid I
it's
was
gonna-
telling you about
Yeah, it's gonna take.
was the first day of school, and the kid went to open house, and so the time frame kind of goes. And I want people to know that I don't think that masks just gonna just boom put the brakes on and stop everything. What masks do also is a mental thing that also helps us with kids remembering I need to sanitize my hands. Okay, I don't need to just be all over somebody. You know, it's kind of a little reminder to do other mitigating things. So,
And I'm bringing this up, Coach, and board, is making decisions takes everybody working together.
mhm,
While we had state of emergencies, it's because people wasn't working together.
mhm,
But now we've been given an opportunity to individually as organizations to make those decisions and figure out what's best for our organizations. But we still got to work together in a sense of unity. And so, you know, I can't tell the city, I can't tell the county, I can't tell the school board that we need mask mandate. But we got to think about a mask not only just need to be worn in safety, they need to be worn everywhere because that's what we were required to do in the state of emergency.
Mhm.
And guess what we saw when we started doing it? When everything shut down, we started seeing that was everything. Businesses, we drove around, we passed out requirements that businesses had to follow. We made businesses put up plexiglass and have masks. And when they were not following those, we went back and gave them a warning. And then we called the Georgia State Patrol. It was an aggressive enforcement to get people to follow that state of emergency. We did it every day. I did it, drove around this city to each person's business. And they got tired of me coming in there telling them, Doug, you don't have a plexiglass up. When we come back, we're going to give you a warning. We're going to call the Georgia State Patrol on you. They're going to come shut you down. We're going to call the Department of Health. It was a hustle and bustle, but we were made to do that. We're not operating in that type of, and that's why the outrage, because people don't want to be made to do things.
mhm,
I think the thing that helps us all is that everybody knows that it's spreading and it's affecting everybody's household, that we have got to take individual responsibility and help protect ourselves. If you don't agree with the vaccines, you don't got to agree with it, but you need to take some mitigating factors like what we did. Sanitizer was everywhere. Sanitizer was out because everybody was using it. You couldn't even find a can of Lysol because everybody was using it. Now there's plenty of bleach, plenty of Lysol, and there's plenty of masks, and there's plenty of hand sanitizer because nobody's using none of it.
hey,
I went to the store to look. I wanted to see because I knew we were getting ready. I said, man, I'm going to go to the store. I went to Dollar General, went to the other Dollar General, plenty of bleach, plenty of Lysol, hand sanitizer, and masks just stacked up. Nobody's using it. Nobody's cleaning up anymore. It's going to take more than just these masks. We got to get back as a community, as a state, cleaning up, sanitizing. And I just want to say that I appreciate y'all supporting Dr. Kelly is his plan. I like the hybrid. I'm glad we're there because I don't want to see kids in distance learning, learning without any type of instruction. My second grader enjoyed it. She came home, told me how it went. yesterday and today. She enjoyed having a smaller class. She wears her mask and she reminds me of things that are happening. She keeps me informed about what's happening in her school, who's sick and who's not. She keeps me very informed. But she enjoyed having a smaller class and she felt okay because they were able to spread out, space out. My junior and sophomore, same thing. One of my sophomore told me it wasn't but 6 kids in one of his classes. So we're able to spread out. This hybrid model is going to give us an opportunity to see what's going to happen. It gives us time to spread the kids out, limit the amount of people in the buildings. We just got to work to see how it goes. But I do agree with Mr. Harris. After 2 weeks, if it does not change, we've got to do something different. And what worked last year was the mask mandate. And I'll say this, kids did not wear the mask correctly. I was there. I went to all the schools. I walked around. We as a board drove around to every school in this district. We saw some kids wearing them right, some kids not wearing them right. The majority of our kids in our district were wearing them properly and doing the right things, but everybody. So those are factors that teachers have to put up with. They gotta make them wear a mask if we do a mask mandate. Administrators gotta deal with discipline issues if they don't. Just like they're dealing with dress codes and everything else every day. It's just another added level of responsibility if we make a mask mandate. But we know that it can slowly spread down. And if we get to that point where this hybrid, we don't see a trend dropping, then we've got to do something a little different. Or we're going to have to go to a total virtual. Now, this is my feeling on total virtual, because if we're going to total virtual, that means that we're going to a total virtual. I'm not going to support a total virtual, and then we still have all these other activities, because COVID is not limited to the school day. You got extracurricular activities that are still functioning. You have some extracurricular activities right now that are quarantined because they have reached that percentage level in their group. So we got to think about all that. As a board, if we're going to a total virtual, we're going to say we're going to do that, and we got to go to a total virtual. We've got to put some mitigating factors into the hybrid model and be making a mandatory mask, then we've got to do that. Whatever we got to do to keep school open is what I want to see us do. Whatever we got to do to keep the extracurricular activities, that's what I want to see us do. That's my 2 cents.
What do they do on the other 2 days? What do the students do on the days that they're not in person?
I would love to give you an answer, and I can't give you an answer, but I have somebody to hold up and on.
So we're not trying to replicate an entire school day or 2 entire school days. What we're asking teachers to do is to really maximize that time that they have with the students and do a lot of front loading, and then send home assignments that can be done to keep the learning warm, and to keep students' minds actively engaged. And we're a couple of days in, so it's not perfect yet. We've gotten some feedback that in some grades there's been too much independent work, and some grades maybe too little, and so we're still trying to find that sweet spot. But we're asking teachers to really maximize that time they have with the students, with bell-to-bell instruction, a lot of high engagement, not a lot of computer-based instruction, and that the things that go home are things that complement what they've learned with the teacher. We've said that we are not worried about the pacing guides right now. We're worried about providing quality instruction and doing what we can through hopefully what will be a short period of time.
So is it kind of like the flipped classroom type thing?
If we have to stay in hybrid for a long period of time, we will try to go to a true flipped classroom. A true flipped classroom, though, really does a little bit of the opposite of what we're doing now. In a true flipped classroom, you may front load with videos and things that students can do at home, and then go to deeper levels of learning in the classroom. And for these first couple of weeks, we're not doing a true flipped classroom, but we recognize that if we have to stay in hybrid for an extended period of time, then that's where we'll go. And we'll support teachers on Wednesdays when we don't have students in the building with some planning and some strategies to be able to make that.
Okay.
Ms. Denny and Ms. Harrison, along with, others, have really done a lot of work to provide support and guidance to all our schools.
I do believe so. In 2 weeks, we're going to bring the discussion back up on the trend for what we to report on that time as far as gathering the data. Thank you.
I just, one of y'all or myself, whoever, just to remind everybody that, on Wednesdays, our bus drivers are deep cleaning, we're deep cleaning buildings, we're deep cleaning buildings on weekends, right? So we're doing a lot of extras along those lines too to try to help mitigate this.
At this time, board, we would just want to bring your attention and then ask for some action. Our COVID leave, as it was understood last year when it was supported, by the state and other entities, ended, at some point. And so we have not provided COVID leave to our employees up until this point, and we wish to revisit that. We are currently fleshing procedures. We are going to be more strict with regard to what qualifies as COVID leave. What I am asking the board to do is simply to take action that will allow us to incur the expenditures that are associated with providing COVID leave, and it is our intention to pay for that carry funds. So it will not impact the local budget here with the school system, but since it is actually considered an expenditure to provide that leave and still pay our teachers and not require them to take other forms of leave, then we need action by the board to just allow us to incur that expenditure with the understanding that we will get procedures and things out to our employees. And it is our desire, we're currently talking about making that retroactive to the beginning of pre-planning.
That's what I would love to ask.
Yes.
I will support it if we want to retroact.
We will move it back to the beginning of pre-planning when teachers were required to come to this building.
So what, I don't want to go in depth with the criteria, but I guess the basic criteria of an individual applying for COVID leave.
It's gonna require a positive test. It will also require, some form of documentation stating that they're either positive, they are caring for a positive child, or that they are some way critically impacted by COVID. We are not going to allow it. We do not wish for it to be the same freedoms as it was last time with regard to what people could qualify for COVID.
No.
We'll have those provisions and expectations set, and we will communicate them to all employees through our HR department, our finance department, as well as to the building administrators.
Will you make us aware? Will you send us those via email so that we can see it? I just want to be able to have them in case we get questions or calls.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because we will, and we want to give the right information to employees that may reach out to the board.
So you need us to take action tonight?
Yes.
Yes, please.
I make a motion that we accept the COVID leave as Dr. Kelly has proposed.
Second.
And using CARES Act money to
Yes.
pay for that leave.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, board. If appropriate, I'll move on to capital outlay.
Do we CTA?
Sir?
You mean leave off CTA?
No, they're down at number 6.
Yes.
Oh, okay, on mine. we didn't update that. Okay, I'm sorry.
Real
we're
quick,
rolling.
capital outlay, technology folks have met with Buckley and the builders for their items and things. Most of the footings are done, and rebar's coming out of the ground. They're currently doing some fire protection and HVAC work on the inside of the building. As you can see, that block, the addition is beginning to come in. They'll begin laying that block as soon as they're So they are very soon going to start the connectors between the buildings that are going to be required. You know, those were some safety enhancements that were designed into the building. All of the portables for the phasing of the project were in place and ready to go prior to children entering the building. So those have been taken care of, and we are very proud to say that the bathroom trailer is also up and running. All right, that is a big deal for the track. The new storms that we've been talking about for so long are actually in the ground, and so that is a good thing. The well is being drilled and should be installed soon. The electricians have started their work. I noticed today that the light poles are on site, so they'll be erecting those before too much longer, I'm sure. The paving, once all the site work is done, the paving is scheduled for the end of September, which will be the, what the track surface will be on. Please know that that's a very precise process. So the paving is done. It's 30 days before they put the track surface on it. So it's a very precise process. We are looking at a tentative completion date of originally we were talking about end of September, but unfortunately COVID has delayed material delivery in just about every place in the country. So hopefully right now we're looking the practice fields are done. The football is on the practice fields. We have some preliminary quotes with regard to fencing that I will provide you when those are presented to us. We are still working on the investigation of the wetlands to see if there are opportunities to mitigate some of that. Softball field, for the most part, yes, ma'am.
You check into moving the road, maybe, when we talk?
We did explore that, and we could move the road. We want to see what we can do with wetlands first and what that might entail. We had a company come out. They were here yesterday, as a matter of fact, to look and see. There's very specific criteria as to whether or not things can be considered wetlands and how we might be able to mitigate that. But we have had some conversations about maybe moving the road over a little bit as well.
Okay.
Again, with the softball field, it's pretty much done with the work they have wanted to do, and they've begun to play on it. It looks very good. The play out here, the playing surface is very good and very nice. And so that's done. Did want to let you know, and it's not a capital outlay project, but just to let you know that we will pretty soon put a new roof on this building. Because it is a high priority need for us. And I did want to mention to you that we are investigating the awning at Strevin. But I do want you to consider and maybe provide some guidance to us. That is in the very front of the school. If we put an awning up that is not identical or not complementary to the awning that we currently have, I don't know how aesthetically pleasing that's going to be. But if we put one up that's similar to we have now, it's going to be very expensive. So just, if you would, just kind of consider what you might want to do as a board, which direction you might want us to go. We can put an awning up, but
I thought we were first only addressing that piece that extends from the walkway to the auditorium, and then we would revisit the front of the school.
Well, I guess maybe I misspoke. You're looking at the front. When I pull in, that's what I see, that awning right there. So it's out front.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes.
I think that's what he's talking
I am talking
So you're
about.
talking about the little piece of concrete that goes from the end of the walkway to the auditorium.
Yes. That's where I'm talking. So we can put an awning up there that just covers the space. But, I mean, you're going to have that nice ornate awning, with the block, with brick columns and things, and then you're just going to have I don't know how aesthetically pleasing that would be in front of that building. Or to the side, but what I would call still the front, that's where the main entrance is. So
Right now, I'm concerned about just not get hit by the rain. So if we have to put some of
Yeah, I was concerned about the school.
temporary stuff up,
Yeah.
like we got by the high school, just cover the walkway. I'm fine with that. I don't want to, reach out and start doing another capital project, to put columns and things up. Right now, we need to get it covered so the kids can walk and not have to get hit by the rain. People are worried about the beautification, when the budget allows us to do that. I mean,
Can do.
So we're talking about in front of the auditorium, or we talking about in front of the actual school, the entrance into
No.
the school?
No, that on it takes away from the school and go toward the old gym.
Yeah, that walkway.
Yeah.
Breathe.
Remember, it cuts off short.
Right.
And go all the way. From there to the old gym is what, that's
Oh,
what he's talking
okay,
about.
that's the part that was left off
For
right.
some
for
reason.
whatever reason.
And so was
But the front was.
the
left.
front, yeah,
The
it was
front was
left
left off
off too.
We
The
talked about
driveway,
that.
yeah, covering for the front was left off too.
Yeah, I'm not referring to a portico or anything where you drive under, but again, I'm talking about just that awning that goes from where the existing awning stops to the auditorium.
Yeah, later on, we need to look into
We
that,
talked about
yeah,
that.
we talked, yeah, look into that, cause I'm sure, putting the little ones in the car and that type of thing in the rain is not a whole fun.
We did.
I mean, naturally, I want it to look good as possible. But I don't want it to be 3 years before it gets done.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If it's an expense that's considered to be a capital project based off of bricks and columns and all that, I think that the best thing for us to do is to put a temporary, one of those 10 white shelters over there till we are able to afford that.
How often do they use it?
Hmm?
How often do they use that to get?
I'm not sure how often they use it.
Well, they haven't been
Auditorium.
using that-
Because,
that
yeah,
right
cause
now.
they have a gym,
But it's just gotten finished.
Yeah, it's
It's
just,
the auditorium.
Right.
Yeah.
it flooded, and so there was a lot of work that we did.
I would like to, I know on my capital outlay committee person, one of them, that's what he does. He does that kind of stuff. And I think he'd be a good one to, let's talk to and see what he could think of that could make it look aesthetically nice. And maybe not. I think,
We could talk to them, but we can't do it.
I know he can't do the work. I don't mean that, but he could tell us his opinion about what could be done, because he does that all the time. And so does one of the other committees.
Mr. Morris has already reached out to a few companies to get some preliminary estimates with regard to what it would cost
Yeah.
for various types of structures. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what the board's desire was. You know, I didn't want to certainly put a temporary up there and it not be, to your specifications. So now I think I understand what it is.
It's kind of like moving in your house and it's not quite ready. If we put a temporary up there 10 years from now, that temporary will still be there. That's just my opinion.
Which is why I'm bringing it up.
Because if you move in your house and it's not ready, you won't never finish it.
Ask your member if it's feasible to paint it in today's world, to match it up.
Yeah.
Or get Shag to paint you a pirate ship on that section.
Yeah.
We'll get some options and make you aware. Mr. Chairman, move to the Capital Outlay Advisory Committee. The first meeting for the Capital Outlay Advisory Committee is scheduled for September the 7th at 6 o'clock in this facility. Currently, we have all two. Those two are for Wayne County School System employees. We just did not fit. At this time, I would like, since the board's action on committee members, at this time, I would like to add a member. I would like to add Ms. Kimberly Harrison to the committee. She has expressed an interest in wanting to be involved. I asked her if she would like to be involved, and I would like for the board to consider that you took action on the other members to take action to allow Ms. Harrison to participate on our Capital Outlay Advisory Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Move to second.
Chairman of the advisory, what you think?
Mr. Chairman.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Redfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. And we're working on the agenda for that, and we're going to have that information available to you after the meeting. Surplus items. We have we are asking for the board to allow us to accept bids to surplus bus number 36, which is a 2000 Bluebird International 72 passenger bus.
Say,
Mr. Ellis?
yes, ma'am.
Ms. Davis?
Ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Brennan?
Yes, ma'am.
If it is board, so we have been talking about the strategic plan. I just wanted to provide you with some information. We are probably going to slow down on that process just a little bit because of the situation and the things that are required from all of us with regard to that. I also wanted to mention to you that we had explored reaching out to the Georgia School Board Association, which we are a member, to assist us in that process. We have learned that their assistance will probably not be fiscally possible at this time, and so we are looking at other options to get that done. And those options include any other entities or organizations, or just doing it ourselves with the talent that we have in the school system. So that's really just for your information. Unless anyone has any questions. Okay. At this time, the board has expressed an interest in knowing a little bit more about our CTAE process and things that we provide at our schools. And so at this time, Ms. Harrison will provide you with information, a little presentation regarding CTAE process and provisions in our schools.
Good evening, everyone. Thank y'all so much for this opportunity to come and speak with you guys about our CTAE offerings that we have at the high school, but also answer your question, Mr. McPickman, that you had at last board meeting. So, in 2008, the state did do away with having those different tracks in our diploma offerings for our students. At that time, they were college prep and career tech diplomas. But that actually started back in 1993, and it was just called vocational education, which is what a lot of us in this room are very familiar with that. And I actually fortunately had a college prep seal and a vocational seal because I had the opportunity to do both when I was in high school. But although those have been removed by the state, there is a very high priority on CTAE at the state level and the system level. We're very fortunate at the state to have Governor Kim and our CTAE director, Dr. Barbara Wall, as well as the state superintendent of schools, Richard Woods. All three of them are very proactive and advocates for CTAE. And last year, in response to what was happening with education and COVID and all those concerns that happened in the educational system, Mr. Woods released a document that was kind of like his vision for education moving forward. And it was called the Roadmap to Reimagining K-12 Education. In that document, there were 10 goals. Out of those 10, there's 4 that are specifically related to either CTAE or providing robust, well-rounded opportunities for our students. And I just kind of want to briefly go over a little bit about each one of those. The first one is to ensure access to a well-rounded education. That is really specifically geared towards CTAE, but also includes computer science, STEM, STEAM, fine arts, and our world language classes that we offer. The second goal was to adopt a student level rather than grade level approach to teaching and learning. So understanding where our students are at and meeting them at their proficient levels and pushing them forward in the offerings that we give as far as our teaching and learning practices. The third was to create multiple diploma pathways. And I think over the next couple of years, you're going to see that kind of revisit toward that. But making sure that we offer those opportunities for kids that are going toward college or if they want to go straight to the workforce, but then also doing a very focused priority on our military pathways, having those opportunities for students too. And the final one that's pertaining to CTAE is to ensure that every high school student has the opportunity to get a jump start on post-secondary education opportunities. So in that goal, we want to make sure that all of our students either take advantage of 4 different opportunities. Either having an advanced placement or dual enrollment credit, getting an industry credential, which I'll speak a little bit about later on, completing a CTAE pathway, or being exposed to work-based learning programs. So out of those 10 goals that he proposed for specifically relate to CTAE. And the other ones relate to reducing testing, bringing a focus back to the evaluation system for our teachers and supporting them with professional learning that's tailored specific to their individual needs. But at the system level, I kind of wanted to give an overview of what we provide. So Ms. Landon, if you'll upload that CTAE flyer, we currently offer 9 clusters that cover 18 different pathways, from ag to automotive, construction, healthcare science, and we always try to provide additional opportunities for our students. So this year at the high school, we added 3 additional pathways: science, human resource management, and then the culinary arts program. We're still having to provide that food science and nutrition pathway, but after this year, that will be phased out and culinary will take over. So when I was very involved in completing our comprehensive local needs assessment this past summer, I had to look at various different sets of data points. And one of those was the opportunities that we're offering our students. So based on our FTE enrollment, we are required by the state to provide 4 career clusters. As you can see, we offer 9. So we're going well above and beyond what the required state expectations are for our students. And those opportunities they're not limited to the classroom. We offer opportunities for our students to sharpen their skills with our CTSOs, which are career technical student organizations. Those are like FBLA, FFA, or host for healthcare science. And then we also make sure that every student has the opportunity to be properly aligned with a work-based learning placement or dual enrollment credit. We have wonderful staff at the high school. Mr. Edwards is our current CTAE director. I wanted to speak as the former CTAE director. Even though I'm removed from that role, I'm very tied to it. I have a very, there's a deep place for CTAE in my heart, and it will always be there. But even though I'm serving in a different role, I wanted to kind of speak on Mr. Edwards' behalf. Unfortunately, he's not able to be here with us tonight, but he wanted to make sure that he expressed his gratitude for being able to serve in that role, talk about the different opportunities that we do have for our students. He and I are working very closely in making sure that our students are provided those opportunities. We do have a CRE grant with culinary. We're getting $90,000 to update some of our equipment. And every year in the past, we complete a competitive application grant process that secures additional funding in addition to what we get from Perkins funding. So there's opportunities out there, and we're making sure we take advantage of those. But right now, what I want to do is I kind of want to highlight some of our students and some of the things that are going on in our school. So I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Kirkland and Mr. Hodges and Mr. Madry. They are our ag teachers at the high school, and they want to give you a little overview about what's going on in their program, FFA, and kind of showcase some of the students and give them a chance to speak.
Thank y'all for having us tonight. Commissioner Pickens, as you made the comment a while ago, our most precious resources are our students. So I brought the 2 most precious ones that I could find. Let them come and introduce themselves and talk a little bit. For the most part, every time I come, I get up here and talk. And I have 2 students here that are very well versed in talking, and I thought like it's probably enough for y'all to hear from them and let them talk about their accomplishments. I do want to take the opportunity to thank y'all for y'all's support of our programs. I'll say this, when I first moved to Wayne County, I had intentions to be here for 1 year as a Jeff Davis County delegate. Thought I'd always go home, come over here, fell in love with the county and the community, had some good mentors along the way. Really enjoyed my time here and just can't think of another place that could be as supportive. So at this time, I'm going to ask our FFA president, Mason Chestnut, to come up and talk about some of the things that we were able to accomplish this past year and what was our most successful years in FFA chapter.
As you said, my name is Mason Chestnut, and I'm the president of Wayne County FFA. Just a little update on this past year, some of the events we did, and I'm going to give y'all some plans of this coming up here too. We did not pass out the paper, but we do have one that covers our CDEs and our LDEs, along with a few other accomplishments. Those accomplishments are 1 national proficiency finalist, 1 national gold emblem proficiency, 22 CDEs, 68 student participants, 12 state qualifying teams, 9 top 10 state teams, 6 state degrees, and 6 American degrees. And we plan, as long as everything stays the same, we plan to not only continue our success, but to grow it. Our next big endeavor, which is coming up in October, is our national convention. Luke, we have several people attending, and we also have Luke competing. Luke will come up and he will tell you about his proficiency. And if you have any more questions, please ask me.
Good evening. As he said, my name is Luke Hendricks. My parents are Lance and Emily Hendricks. I've been in FFA all 4 years of my high school career. These past 2 years, I've had the honor to serve as an officer. I've had the opportunity to do lots of rewarding activities and competitions with them. My most rewarding has been my proficiency award. It's given me the opportunity to grow both within my FFA and in my jobs that I complete on the farm and our house. Mr. Kirkland came up to me last year and described it to us. He explained it would be just basically a long list of everything I do, how I do it, when I do it, around the farm, stuff like mowing, spraying, and pest management. So I filled out that, I sent it away to the area contest, and after that, I sat down for a panel interview for the state, and then when I won the state, the application got sent out to compete against all the other states. And I think 2 months ago, I got the notification I had won, or not won, I'm sorry, into the finalists for nationals. So in the top 4 nationals, we go up there October, late October 27th for that. I'll have a meeting online with another panel of judges before that, September 22nd, to determine national winners. I'm very grateful for Mr. Kirkland and the rest of the advisors for their continued support and encouragement during my time in the Proficiency Award. I'm also thankful that FFA has given me so many opportunities. It's given me opportunities for lots of scholarships when I go off to college. I have opportunities to complete scholarships for that. It's given me lots of chances to meet new people and get involved with things like this. And I encourage anybody else thinking about joining FFA to go ahead and join because it's been a really rewarding time for me.
Congratulations, young man.
Thank you.
Thank you for representing.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
What is a CDE?
The Career Development Event. Gotcha.
Yes, I knew that.
I'll take a couple minutes or a couple seconds to announce a few things. Mason's walking around and he's actually passing out a sheet that has a list of all of the CBDs, and I'm gonna quiz him on that next time we see Dr. Kelly. But CBE in a nutshell, everything that we do in our classrooms is standards based. And the National FFA and the Georgia FFA Association has developed pretty rigorous contests that are based off the principles that we teach in class, and then we take students and compete against other counties. So sort of like you have a 5A and a 4A and a 3A and all in athletics, we have Area 6, which makes up, I think, 19 counties. So it's basically everything east of I-75 and everything south of I-16. That is our group that we compete against. Then you take the top 2 from each one of those groups and they go compete at the state level. And a lot of groups, if you're in the top 5 or top 10 or whatever in the state, you get to go compete at nationals. But whatever phase, you've got to win your state championship, or whatever, to be able to go to nationals. So it's a good thing. It's a great experience for us.
Well, Mr. Kirkland, I think that you figured out that that yellow jacket really is not blue and yellow.
It's black and gold.
There you go.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll tell all my questions as well.
Better add one factor.
Sorry?
You forgot your wife.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Being broadcast.
Thank you, Joe, for your support as well.
I just got one thing I want to just let the board know, and Dr. Kelly. Luke Hendricks not only serves in FFA, but he also will be serving as our student chairman for the Student Advisory Board this year. He was elected by the Student Advisory Board at the end of last year, and he's going to serve. And he's very versed in discussion about the policies of this board, the decisions that we make, and he's in constant communication, and he provides a lot of input and has provided a lot of input. He's been a part of that as well since he was a freshman. So we appreciate the service to the school, and also Mason as well. Most of them, we we try our best to get involved with all of our student presidents and get their opinions and let them share their concerns about the school district and how we're doing. And those two students definitely keep me informed about what they feel we should be doing as student leaders.
Mason, what grade are you in?
I'm a senior this year.
You're a senior also. I'm gonna tell you something that's don't pass out now. Believe it or not, I was in the FFA for 1 year. I went to that Motre Expo. I actually enjoyed it. I actually went back in 2018. Yeah, I went back with Long County in 2018. Enjoyed it.
One more question. I see you in the wellness. I'm not been involved in a while. I was worried that we did away with wellness. Tell me just a little bit about our wellness program.
Our wellness is in our AgMech program. You go through 2 stages. You go to AgMech 1 and AgMech 2. And AgMech 2, it teaches you stick welding and MIG welding, along with using cut tools. And we have a CDE, yes sir, we do have CDE for welding. You go and compete in microns.
You might be interested too, Bruce.
Oh, I hated that we lost the welding program, I'm telling you.
Yeah,
But I'm glad we got what we have.
that's what they
That's a
do, yeah.
question that we do have all the time is, did we get rid of welding? No, we did not. We changed the
It's
name. That
incorporated,
encompasses more than just welding. And so students have an opportunity to that. And I just want to share one thing. It was sent out today, so I don't have it, a lot of information about it. It was actually sent out about 4 o'clock this afternoon. But the state and our technical college are going to consider awarding college credit for some of our pathway classes.
Oh, wow.
And so that's really, really great. And again, that's just in that work that State Superintendent Woods and Governor Kent has been working on. So I'm very excited about that, but they'll be able to receive college credit for those career pathways. And they've got 4 identified now that we offer. One of them is the welding, and the other is automotive and patient care. And then the 4th one they're considering is cloud computing. We don't have that, but in the next couple of years, there is going to be an addition of computer science as far as one of our pathways.
Yeah, they're gonna require the coding in 2023, am I correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
I will just say one thing, Ms. Harrison, you've done an outstanding job, and we certainly look forward to Mr. Evans leading the way. I've been a part of the CTAE department as an advisory committee member on all of the levels. I started serving when Dr. Bonnie Gordon was the CTAE director. So I've certainly been involved with that process and appreciate. I will say that CTAE gave me an opportunity to be successful in high school because academically I struggled, and that was by choice. Coach Matt can tell you, he was my principal. He had to help guide me along the way. But while I struggled academically, CTAE led the way, and I didn't struggle with CTAE. So I do see the need. One of the things that I think, we continue to have the conversation, and we had this conversation in student advisory, is about making CTAE a bona fide requirement for every student in the high school. And that came up, this was a conversation we had with about 50 different students, and this was a diverse group. Our student advisory board is made up of 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and we reach every community. We're intentional about recruiting kids from Odom, Scriven, Garda, Madrid Springs, from city limits of Jessup Hill. We try to get kids from everywhere to help us because we saw a disconnect that while this CTAE offerings were offered, there were only about 30% of the population really taking advantage of the CTAE. And so that's a big thing that we have to be intentional about. And it's going to take the work of our CTAE and all of our teachers and advisors, mentors, encouraging our kids to become a part of some type of CTAE program. A lot of times we get kids who are lost in, their sports, and they forget about the skills, computer skills. They forget about, farming skills. They forget about welding, the culinary arts, and different things. And we've talked about that as a board, but I think we've got to find a way to help that be a more intentional thing in our district. Also, it's going to help connect that to the workforce. We talk about workforce development and we talk about the needs, but the disconnect I see in the needs is that we're not helping kids get into their CTAE pathway or exploring those options. Y'all advertise, you presented this information, but I think that we're losing in that area because not enough kids are part of CTAE.
Yeah, I think we could be more intentional with our results from our new science assessment that we do in the middle schools. We do have a chance for them as an aptitude and interest survey that they take. And we do a great job in making sure that we use that information to kind of gear them into their pathways. But I really do think we could do more with that. And just to kind of address one of your points you just made, we are seeing that in our CTAE department. We had to add an extra allotment for a teacher in our business pathways because our enrollment was just high. And we had to be strategic with our master schedule in our ag department because there's just so many kids are wanting to take our classes. And so that's a healthy problem to have, but definitely something that we can work forward to improve going forward.
Can you tell everybody what the acronym for CTA is?
Yeah, it's Career, Technical, and Agricultural Education. So, and in certain pockets, you'll notice that it's CTE, but with us in Wayne County, we're very focused on agricultural as well. So that is the A in the CTE.
Yeah, a lot of people think that we don't have a vocational department anymore,
We do.
but it's
just that
technical.
changed.
Yeah, it's just a name change.
Thank you guys so much for this time. I appreciate it.
I would like to say too, before we go, as a 30-year CPA teacher, and that's where my heart's at because that's where it's at in my opinion. But we also, I can remember many times, not just me, but other teachers, we required our student. I knew I did. If I found out a student was lacking in an English paper, then he sat in my classroom until he got his English paper done before he went back in my lab. We supported the other areas as well, academic areas as well, because they're vitally important. But I'm very proud of our program. Our program is a big program. It really is, and there's not that many high schools that has as many programs as we have.
Yes, that's great. And one of our action steps in our comprehensive local needs assessment was to provide that opportunity for cross-curricular planning. So this past year, we did a lot of CTAE and academic PLCs. So creating those lessons that depend on the academic standards as well as the technical standards. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Board policies.
Couple of things, if it pleases the board. These are second readings and just require action. You know, you put information up at last meeting. Dr. Smith is not available today, so if you have specific questions, we did not get answers, we may have to table one of the policies, but nothing has changed, since the last presentation. We're just asking for action for us to, for you to approve the various policies. First one is IHF 6 graduation requirements.
Make a motion to approve that policy.
Second.
Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, board. The second one is JBC 4 awarding units and transferring credit. Again, nothing has changed since the last presentation and reading.
Move accept the policy.
Second.
Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, board. And the final is KNBA complaints about instructional materials. Again, nothing has changed since the last reading and information provided to you.
Make a motion to adopt the policy.
Second.
Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson? Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, board. Excuse me. At this time, I'll ask CFO, Mr. Richard Aldridge, to approach the podium, provide you with information regarding a classified basic.
Board, y'all have a copy of that scale. We have approved this scale, I guess, about 2 months ago. Put it in place. We have since had to make a change to it for some stuff that we were needing to move around. That is notated in red on that scale for y'all. And I just need y'all an approval to put that in place. So take action on it moving forward. And this is just the classified scale.
Yes, this is not changing anything on the scale, it's not changing numbers, all it does is change designation on the scale. It is gonna be,
I make a motion, we accept the scale as presented.
Second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Dingle?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Brett Higdon?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Mr. Aldridge will provide you with information with regard to tax digest and millage rate.
Well, as we all know, it's August, so it's this time of the year, where the tax digest, was finally, brought out. We were presented with the information from, the tax committee, and, the tax digest went up again this year. It went up last year as well. From the information that we gathered, the largest amount of that increase was due to the titanium mine joining the tax base, that we all know of. It's out there on Caroline Road. It finally got added to the tax digest. So, of course, that made the tax digest increase. When that happens, you have a few options that we can work through. As a board, obviously, all of that is done at the county, but we do have to make decisions as well because there is a millage rate that comes back to the Board of Education system. One of those options is what they call a rollback rate, which is what they call a minimum amount that has to be rolled back, which is what we did last year as a board. That rate would be 17.761, which would be a drop of about 0.2 in rate. I know in some prior discussions where we have talked about the tax and the millage, the board had kicked some tires on possibly maybe doing a little more than that. So we looked in getting a number, or if we get a $0.5 drop rate as well, what that would do for us as an education system. When we got that number back, that would take the rate to 17.463, which would be a $0.5 drop from what the actual rate was last year. That would put us still in a very break-even point, tax revenue wise. Financially, I think we would be in a good shape in that position as well. And but it would also afford the board to do a little bit bigger of a rollback than the minimum amount. And so we did get that information, and I'm presenting that to you tonight for Dr. Kelly's recommendation.
So basically, Mr. Aldridge and I have been talking about and reviewing the data. We've been working with the tax assessor. And if we were to keep the board were to keep the millage rate from the previous year, obviously with the tax digest increasing, that would be an increase which would require action. So there was a rollback provided to us, but I know the board has demonstrated a desire to provide some relief to the taxpayer, and Mr. Aldridge and I are very confident that if the board were to consider a 0.5 reduction in the millage, it would satisfy requirements with regard to the tax assessor, but also provide some relief to the taxpayers of Wayne County. And so my recommendation is that you take action tonight to tentatively adopt a millage rate of 17.463, which is a 0.5 reduction from the previous year's millage rate. And then we will have a call board meeting next week at 10 o'clock on Thursday, the 2nd, for you to officially adopt the millage.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I got a question though, where it says if the actual rate creates a tax difference of 3%, the advertising must be changed, republished, and you will have to vote again.
What that means is tonight you're doing a tentative vote, sort of like when we do the budget. It will run in the newspaper on Thursday and advertise the tax history and show what is being proposed. And the final vote will occur on y'all's call meeting next Thursday. If we come back to that next Thursday's meeting and a change was made from that was more than 3% of what we had tentatively advertised, we would have to start this process over, and that would also mean that the tax bills would be late. That's why we're trying to get this in so they come out like they're supposed to, not only for the county, but for ourselves as well, because if they come out on time, the tax revenues come in a timely fashion. But that's what that comes from.
And the 0.5 reduction, allows us to basically break even with regard to what we were doing last year because of the increase because of the new industry.
I think we're at a good place with this. And, we certainly commend the efforts of our IDA board for getting a new company into it. We've been, again, I state that we've been very good with our budget. We have spent money that has needed to be spent. I know some people may not agree to that, but we've done what we need to do to keep schools open and build things and add things. We've tried to support all of our organizations and programs, build new schools. And at this time, I just kind of feel that it's time to give the taxpayers a break. We have been very good with our money, conservative in spending. We've done a good job with our budget under Dr. Brinson's leadership. We're already starting with Dr. Kelly in a good way. Thanks to our CFO for providing us this information. I'm very in support of this decrease in our budget. Anybody got any other questions? We got a motion and a second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank y'all, we'll get that taken care of.
Thank you, Mr.
Also, we want to go ahead and take the motion for our call board meeting on next week. What time did you say, Dr.?
It will be at 10 o'clock on Thursday, September the 2nd, 2021, in this facility right here, and it will be published ASAP.
So move.
Thank you.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
We'll move into executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the employment compensation, hiring, and disparate action, or periodic evaluation of rating of a public officer or to interview applicants for the position of superintendent. Motion for executive.
Move.
Second.
Move for second.
Mr. Ellis? Mr. Davidson?
Yes,
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pipkin?
Yes, ma'am.
This is good start. Yeah, go. Put that up, it ain't been video, huh? You getting along all right, right?
Just need to
So move.
Second. Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes, ma'am.
Personnel recommendations for August 24th. Certified recommendations, Caitlin Leisure, Market Walls, Smith Elementary. Angie Popple, Scriven Elementary, 49%. Classified recommendations, Sherry Popple, Central Office Food Service. Jessica Thompson, Martha Ross Smith, Paraprofessional. Classified recommendations, Jasmine Coolmore, Jessup Elementary. Karen Lee, Transportation. Darren Lewis, Transportation. Rhonda McGill, Odom Elementary. Sherry Mullis, Transportation. Classified terminations, Henry Ketchup, Transportation. Motion to approve superintendent recommendations.
So move.
Second.
Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Pickett?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm too short.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stay safe. Appreciate the work of all of our teachers and curriculum directors and everybody.
Daniel?
Same here. Everybody just piggyback off of Mr. Joe Mack. Y'all stay safe. And let's just keep it moving, keep it rolling.
Just, I know we do, but we pray for our whole nation and everything, our leaders. Talked to Leslie Miller Sunday afternoon. I called to ask her a question. She picked up 5 people in 7 days, all COVID deaths.
Hmm.
So it's just something terrible. But, anyway.
Well, hopefully optimistic about 2 weeks from now, that hopefully
That's right.
our hybrid model is going to be effective in curbing infections, and it's going to be prayerfully hoping for good news.
Appreciate the work of the board. Definitely appreciate everybody's work on this COVID fight, trying to keep our kids being educated. I think I'm the only board member that this current time that has a kid. I know some of you have grandkids, but I have kids in there. And my kids are enjoying being back in school. They're enjoying being at their practices and going to their events. And we have conversations every morning about their safety. My boys know that if I come by that high school and they got their mask on, they're going to deal with me. I'm going to take that. I don't want Dr. Daniel to have to deal with that. So that's how I'm handling it in my household, but I appreciate y'all and the work that you're doing. Dr. Kelly, Ms. Denny, Ms. Harrison, thank you all for helping our kids this hybrid. I heard good things about it, and I hope we can continue to do this for a little while, at least until it's good time.
I just thank the board for your guidance and wisdom. We certainly do appreciate it. Also, I just really want to thank the folks at the central office and especially the people in the buildings. They're the ones that are truly making a difference and coming to work every day in a very difficult situation and providing for our kids. And it is not going unnoticed. Thank y'all very much.
Adjourned by acclamation.
As always,
you got to say that.
As always.
So next Thursday at 10, right?